Hi, this is Dennis Hopper, and you're on GordonTheWhale.com.
We good? This is my first time in Vegas.
Really?
Never been to Vegas before.
How many days have you been here?
3. And I haven't let it destroy me. I'm still alive, so
What do you think?
I want to move here. It's amazing.
No, it's great.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
so much
Thank
fun.
God, man.
So much fun.
I tell you, right. I mean, so many people say, oh, Vegas, I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to like about Vegas? I think there's something wrong with you if you don't like
Yeah.
Vegas.
It's a great town.
If you don't gamble or you don't, I mean, there's great shopping, there's great restaurants, great shows.
I don't gamble, and I just, that's a good segue. I mean, leave it to a film festival in Vegas to be this much fun. I mean, it's like I've been to a ton of festivals, and this one is just genuinely like everyone's just here because they love film, and we're all here to hang out and have fun. And you've been involved with Cine Vegas for 6 years now.
6 years.
Kind of talk a little bit about how you got involved with the festival and what drew you to it.
Yeah, they gave me an award, and I looked at the festival and I thought, wow, this is terrific. And then I thought, there are not a lot of Hollywood people here.
Yeah.
And I thought these are two great entertainment capitals sitting right next to each other.
Right.
Las Vegas and Hollywood, and yet there's not this, communication between the two that I could see. So the Greenspun said, well, let's start getting them involved. So we started having parties at my house and so on. And I'd invite people from the industries that ran the studios and the agents and so on, and we'd get sponsors in and so on. And we just started bringing people up, and it just really worked. It's been wonderful. Now, now we're beginning to really have great sponsors, and Hollywood is kicking in, and yet we're still like keeping the soul of the festival, which is really about independent film.
Yeah.
And yet we honor the history of the films by showing some older films at times, and we have a big premiere of a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
But we're really basically still concentrating on the independent filmmaker and how he's going to get distribution, how he's going to get his things out. They had a wonderful luncheon today where they talked about the various new ways of distributing things. We have the internet now, we have DVD, there's whole new ways of distributing. Where usually with an independent film, you make your film and now you got to find a studio to distribute it.
Now you just do it yourself.
Yeah. And if you do that, then the studio has to look at it because they're in business and make money. They have to say, well, we're going to have to put that much money into prints and ads. We're going to have to put, if you cost $5 million, we're going to put another $5 million in of our own. Are we going to be able to make money out of this? And so there's very few independent films that ever get distribution that way. And so to find alternative distributions, because that's the end of the game, how are you going to distribute your film after you've made it? And also to keep people in the independent mode that they can take the chance, that they don't have to think about making a money-making movie, but they can concentrate on what they're trying to tell their story. And I think this is so important for young filmmakers. They may change later and become the biggest commercial directors in the world. But the point is they started out in a place where they knew the foundations and they know the game. And that's what it's about. And I just couldn't be happier about this festival. I think this is the best year we've ever had. We're having the best audiences we've ever had. At an economic time that is really a downturn. And Vegas has gone through some really hard times right at the moment, as far as housing closing and, the building stopping and so on. But it's, Greenspun's and Trevor have just gone right on and made a great festival. Well,
you're definitely a man who knows about film. You've been in over 150 films at this point, still working. I think you have, I think I saw you have 4 in post-production or pre-production at this point, if not more. And everything from Easy Rider to True Romance to Speed. I love Speed. One of the best bad guys I've ever seen on film. But it's a huge honor for me to talk to you because the 2 films that inspired me even as a little kid, my mom always showed me the world of like classic Hollywood and old movies. That's how she raised me, on old movies. And Giant and Rebel Without a Cause are the 2 films that made me, even as a young kid, and then into being a teenager and making films. Rebel Without a Cause was a huge inspiration for me, and for you to be part of those, and then me get to sit here and talk to you is a really, really, really big deal. It's the pinnacle of it's a highlight of my life. So, can you just talk about even just your experience on both those films? Just to hear your thoughts on working on those, because you're young and getting your start.
Yeah, I was 18 years old when I went into contract with Warner Brothers, and they told me they'd put me under contract if Nick Ray would use me in Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah.
So I went and saw Nick, and Nick said, "Yeah, I'll use you." So that's how I got my contract at Warner Brothers. It was a little longer than that, but that was the final thing.
Yeah.
So Nick said, "Yeah, you can be in the movie." And so I started there, and then with the possibility of playing the son in Giant, when George Stevens came in, I read for George, and I got that part. So I did those movies pretty much back to back. So the last year of Jimmy's life, we spent almost every day together, working. We worked on Rebel Without a Cause, and then we went right into Giant. So Rebel, we rehearsed for probably about a month and a half before we started shooting Rebel. And we shot for probably about eight weeks. And then we went right into Giant, and we probably prepped Giant for a couple of months, and then we shot the film. It took us 4.5 months to shoot the film, and then Jimmy died 2 weeks before we finished the picture. And it was a great tragedy.
Yeah. What was it like working with? Because I'm, again, not only are those films huge for me, but I'm a huge James Dean fan. Yeah. He's such an inspiration, just in every way. Incredible. I mean, incredible person. What was it like, just acting with him and being his friend and being in those films? It seems like in Rebel Without a Cause that was just a lot of fun. You guys were all young, and in that movie together, and it was such a groundbreaking film about youth. Nobody had ever seen that raw of a look at like America's youth up until that point. Everything was kind of stereotypical.
Yeah, and also those things all seemed very real to me at the time. Then as time went by, I started thinking, Jimmy was a lot older than he was.
Yeah.
Jimmy was 24 years old when he was playing that kid in high school. And he was 25 in Giant when he died.
Yeah.
And I always thought of him as being a kid because we were, but then I realized that he was a year older than Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson.
Really?
Yeah, when we shot Giant,
yeah,
which I never really put together. And
yeah.
I went, wow, he was,
yeah,
because I always thought of Elizabeth Taylor and Rock as my mother and father, as older people.
Yeah.
But in point of fact, they were younger than Jimmy.
Yeah, that's weird.
By a year, it is weird.
Yeah.
And to think what an incredible actor he was. Because at 24, to be able to play a 16-year-old or whatever he would have been in Rebel Without a Cause, that's a 9-year jump backwards.
Yeah, well, he had a very young at heart spirit about him as well.
And he was a great actor.
Yeah.
And he's the greatest actor I ever saw work. First of all, I came out of Shakespeare, and I was into line readings and gestures, and everything was a preconceived idea. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anybody improvise. And I went, where's that coming from? It's not on the page. Where's all this stuff coming from?
Yeah.
Because he would just...
It's just him.
He would just go in there and they're in the police station.
Yeah. Oh,
and they start to search him and he starts giggling.
Yeah.
And, it's not in the script.
Yeah.
And making the siren sounds. It's not in the script.
Yeah, it was almost like he acted and did what he did in the way he did it because he didn't know how to do anything else. That was just who he was, and it just came out of him. I mean,
but it was that character.
Yeah.
I mean, and then in Giant, when he ages that much in Giant, I mean, the guy's 25 years old, and he's playing like a 70, 80-year-old man at the end of it.
Yeah.
And really believable.
Did you know, in being his friend and being in those two films with him, that his legacy would go on to be what it is? Did you know at that time that there was... I mean, obviously you're talking about him as if you knew something was different about him, and he was a fantastic actor, but did you know that he would really have the impact on the world that he did?
Yeah, because Giant was, I mean, Rebel Without a Cause, after Jimmy died, East of Eden was not successful, his first film, till after he was dead.
Right.
And then he died before Rebel Without a Cause and Giant came out.
Right.
Natalie Wood and Nick Adams and I went out and sold Rebel Without a Cause, and Jimmy was already dead at that point. And when I saw the response to Rebel Without a Cause and Giant, I knew that he would, And then East of Eden's re-released, and they all become successful. But God, it was just, you know, it's still difficult for me to talk about it.
Yeah, well,
too much of a tragedy.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. It's a huge honor to talk to you. And like I said, I mean, in doing this, I'm 24, graduated from film school a year ago. Have loved film since the day I was born, and this is a highlight in my life to sit across from you.
Well,
and talk to you.
Whatever you want, you get.
I appreciate it.
It's just the dream that makes you do it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, good.